Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Salebox for the 14th of July 2012. My name is TotalBiscuit, rounding up your daily Steam deals in the Steam Summer Sale. Remember, these deals will roll over. You'll have 12 hours after the next set of deals in order to pick these ones up. So if you're catching this video just a little bit late, then do not worry. The deals may very well still be there. We'll not be covering flash deals for very obvious reasons. By the time this is up, the flash deals will have disappeared anyway. So what the hell is the point? All right, so let's get on to the daily Steam deals for the 14th of July, shall we, and see what is there. Needless to say, I'll be giving you my daily deal recommendation, as well as information on all of the games which are currently available as part of the daily deals. Alright, let's have a look at it, shall we? So first thing, Indie Bundle 3 looks like it's going to be one of these every day, 75% off. What does it contain? That's perhaps the most important thing before we even talk about anything else. So the Indie Bundle 3 is Bit Trip Beat, Braid, Bunch of Heroes, Insanely Twisted Shadow Planet, and Rune Spell Overture. Well, let's quickly blitz through what they are. So, Bit Trip Beat, it's kind of unfortunate they didn't put Bit Trip Runner in, because in my opinion, that's a much better game. It's a retro-styled rhythm game. I really didn't enjoy it all that much, if I'm totally honest. When it comes to Bit Trip, I've got to say Bit Trip Runner is a very fun game, and Bit Trip Beat just did not really tickle my fancy. So, to me, that's not really a big deal. If I were you, I'd maybe just pick up the Bit Trip Collection, which happens to have Bit Trip Runner in it. Or, hell, just buy Bit Trip Runner on its own. Much better than Bit Trip Beat, in my honest opinion. Braid, so this is Jonathan Blow's magnum opus. It's a puzzle platform which involves time manipulation and a rather awesome storyline. If you haven't played Braid yet, I have to wonder what the hell's going on with you. At least give it a try. The mechanics are very Mario-esque, but it does have this whole time rewind thing going on for it, which is very, very cool indeed. Some people find it a little bit pretentious, and I can hardly blame them. Bunch of Heroes, that one is a straight-up isometric co-op blast 'em up. It's just a straight shooter. There's nothing particularly interesting about it whatsoever, aside from the fact that it's got a bunch of quirky little characters and enemies, but honestly, it's not an amazing game by any stretch, but it is a little bit cheap and cheerful. Insanely Twisted Shadow Planet has been out on Xbox Live for a while, only just made its way over to Steam. It's essentially an action-adventure game where you control this tiny little spaceship going around what is essentially an insanely twisted shadow planet. It's what it sounds like. There's a hell of a lot of shadows and crazy monsters that you have to fight your way through. Quite a lot of puzzle solving. The problem I had with that game is that it's got quite a lot of backtracking, so it's almost fair to say that it's kind of a Metroidvania-style game in that respect. I'm not really a big fan of the backtracking and the puzzle solving, honestly, so that really wasn't a game for me, but it's really nicely designed. It also happens to have a soundtrack brought to you by Dimmu Borgir, so why the hell not? And Rune Spell Overture, so this is a RPG light kind of game whereby the battle mechanics are done with games of poker. And if I recall correctly, there's actually an achievement in that game which is named after me, which is quite amusing because I failed really badly during the WTF is of this in the beta. But it's a lot of fun, it's really nicely presented, so I was a big fan of that one. Overall, not the strongest indie bundle thus far, but certainly not terrible by any stretch of the imagination. The bundle's going to set you back $9.99, €9.99 in Tier 1, and $6.99 in Tier 2. So, once again, European Tier 1 gets shafted on that one for no apparent reason. If you're in Great Britain, you'll be paying £6.99. Okay, let's move on to Dead Island. 66% off for this one. That's $10.19, €10.19 in both tiers. Once again, a bit of a shaft for the Europeans, although not hugely so. And £6.79. So this game could be described, I suppose, as a mixture of Left 4 Dead and Borderlands. And it's only really like Left 4 Dead in terms of the theme and the fact that it's got 4-player co-op. It, for the most part, is like an action RPG from a first-person perspective, which sounds really interesting, but it's not very well done. It was very buggy on launch. It's not exactly great now. It had some performance issues. The single player is god-awful. The characters are absolutely terrible. The storyline is absolute wank, and quite frankly, the DLC is a waste of your time. The problem with this game, I suppose, is that it promised so much with that amazing trailer, and yet ended up being a middle-of-the-road kind of zombie survival game. I would say that it's fun in co-op. Like, if you can get a group of 4 friends together to actually play through the game, I think you'll probably have fun with it. Is it worth what they're asking for? Arguably. Arguably. It's not a great game, honestly. It's a dumb game, it's a stupid game, it's in many areas a bad game. I think if you accept that and you play it with 3 other friends, maybe if you buy a 4-pack, because that'll actually save you a bit of money, that's essentially 4 games for the price of 3, then you'll probably have a good time with it. You know, it's the same kind of good time you'd have with something like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. It's a B-movie game. It's just not especially good. so don't expect all that much from it. DLC-wise, I wouldn't really bother with either of them, honestly. It's just a waste of your time and money. It is quite pretty, though. All credit to them, regardless of it not being a great port, and the chances are you're going to have to do a few things with it to get it working the way that you want to. And if you wish to do that, I would suggest that you head over to PCGamingWiki.com. The Dead Island page has a number of fixes that you can apply to this, as well as the ability to change the FOV. So please check out PCGamingWiki.com, and this is going to apply to a number of games on this list today, because they just aren't great PC ports, sadly. Alright, let's have a move on, shall we? Skyrim, 50% off. Why is this not your deal of the day? Because it's not the best value deal of the day. It's really as simple as that. It's a good deal, though. It's probably the biggest discount I've seen on Skyrim so far. It'll cost you $29.79, €24.82, or £17.37. So the UK guys get the best deal there. Not too shabby whatsoever. I did not enjoy my time with Skyrim, if I'm totally honest. I didn't spend a huge amount of time on it, I've got to say. I just didn't get immersed in the world. I wanted to. It was a beautifully designed world, but it became abundantly apparent very early on that it was an ocean with the depth of a paddling pool. Nothing seems to change within the world under any circumstances. This is from gameplay that I've watched and from my friends playing it. They've all basically said the same thing. You've got problems with the way that the world recognizes you for what you're doing, i.e. it just doesn't. It's really, really annoying. That's a massive immersion breaker for me in a game like that. I want the game to recognize that I'm the archmage of the entire universe, and it doesn't. It's like, oh, maybe you should enlist in the Mages Guild. You have a look of a mage about you. It's like, I'm the archmage. What the hell's wrong with you? But I think that it's worth picking up on the basis of what modding could do to it, and what modding's already doing to it. Like, the UI is terrible in that game, and the inventory system is garbage, but it's already fixed with a mod. It's all integrated now with Steam Workshop, so there's all sorts of possibilities for that. So I have a feeling this is going to turn into a great game, especially if they're able to bring out a good expansion. From what I've heard, Dawnguard is not really up to par yet. It's not the Shivering Isles of this particular game, but we'll see how it turns out. Right now, personally, I would say no, but obviously if you've been hankering for Skyrim for this long, you're going to pick it up regardless of what I say anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Alright, moving on to Two Worlds 2, 75% off. That'll cost you $7.49, €6.24, or £4.99. Two Worlds 2 is surprisingly not terrible, considering the original game, Two Worlds, was panned as one of the worst RPGs of that year, and I don't think it's entirely unreasonable to say that either, because it just sucked. It was a really janky, horrendous game. And while this game is certainly cheesy, there's no question about that, it actually has a reasonable amount of content going along with it. Cool thing about Two Worlds 2 is the magic system is really awesome. Like, if you want to play that game, I would strongly suggest that you play as a magic-using character, because there's this really cool card system where you can mix and match different attributes of spells on the fly and do all sorts of creative things with it. That's pretty awesome. Graphically, it's quite nice, really atmospheric game, great music as well, lousy dialogue, some pretty buggy combat. The AI is kind of dumb. The multiplayer is pretty forgettable. I mean, there's a set of instanced missions which you can do with friends, or you can just play deathmatch, so if it was a full co-op experience, that would be much, much better. There's also an expansion, which is pretty damn awesome. It's quite a lot of fun. It's Pirates of the Flying Fortress, which is what it sounds like. Won't cost you too much more, actually, to get that. The Velvet Edition includes that, and is only going to set you back a couple of dollars more. So it's actually not a bad game to try it. If you're looking for an RPG, then you could definitely do a hell of a lot worse than Two Worlds 2. Just expect jank. You know, don't expect amazing polish, but expect some fun features every now and again. Alright, Frozen Synapse, 80% off, and this comes with 2 copies, so you can essentially split this with a friend. $4.99, €4.59, and £3.79. This is a very neat turn-based strategy game. It reminds me very much of the planning phase from Rainbow Six, but the whole thing plays out with this really cool blue wireframe style look. It's incredibly tactical. You take your turn, you simulate the various actions of your troops, and then you play it out against your opponent, and it's almost like a play-by-email game, because once you put your turn in, you can just go back and either put your turn in on a different game or just quit out of the game and come back later and continue it that way. It's really unique, very atmospheric, great music, extremely tense, very, very thoughtful. It's got a very cool DLC out for it as well called Frozen Synapse Red. I cannot recommend this game enough, really. It's totally unique. If you want to hear more about it, I did a very lengthy WTF is of this game, and I believe I gave this the #2 spot on my top 10 games of 2011, and very much deserved, I might add. Incredibly good game. Please do go and check it out. You would really be missing out if you didn't. All right, moving on to Tropico 4, 75% off. That is $7.49, €7.49 in Tier 1, $5.24 in Tier 2, and £6.24. Now, I would recommend this game if you don't already own Tropico 3. The thing is that the difference between Tropico 3 and Tropico 4 is very, very difficult to spot, because it's essentially the same bloody game. They haven't done a huge amount to make it worthwhile. They haven't done a huge amount to evolve it. As a sequel, in my opinion, it's just barely worth it. I think, honestly, they were really milking fans of the franchise for this one. I mean, Tropico 3, especially with its expansion Absolute Power, was great. The biggest flaw, I think, with Tropico is probably the fact that the building is very frustrating. When you're constructing buildings, you have to essentially rely on the AI to do what you want, and sometimes you're in desperate need of the AI workers to go and build a certain building to make sure your economy doesn't collapse in on itself, and they're too busy doing other crap. It's incredibly irritating. It's very, very hard to get them to do what you want, and they haven't really fixed that in Tropico 4 either. Aside from that, it's a really good Banana Republic economic management sim, kind of Sim City in a fictional kind of Cuba-like state. It is really, really awesome. I enjoyed it a lot. I sunk a lot of time into it. It's got a really good campaign mode. DLC-wise, I really couldn't tell you, aside from the fact that it's got a DLC called Quick Dry Cement, which is probably the most hardcore DLC I've ever heard of. There is a DLC called Modern Times, which is certainly worth it, and the rest of it is, for the most part, just cosmetic stuff. So probably pick up Modern Times, because that's the most significant of the DLC available, and I would say skip the rest. If you already own Tropico 3, just bear in mind this is a very similar game. If you're looking for more of the same, Tropico 4 is right for you. If you're looking for a big evolution on the franchise, it's not, because they just barely did anything with it. All right, let's move on, shall we? We're going to have a look at Dirt Showdown. 50% off, that's $25, €20 or £15. I would avoid this one, honestly, because I don't think it's going to be what you're looking for. If you liked all of the Colin McRae Dirt games, you're going to hate this, because it's essentially a really shoddy version of Flat Out. And don't get me wrong, I like Flat Out, but it's not even a good Flat Out, and it's certainly not a good rally game. It's got really nasty physics, and it's an incredibly dumbed-down game. The damage model is utterly simplistic. It's a nice-looking game, but it's actually fair to say that it's little more than a show-off for the engine. It is a very disappointing Dirt game, and when it comes down to arcadey races, there are much better offerings. So, honestly, especially for that price, that would be an avoid for me, without question. All right, Orcs Must Die, 75% off. That is $3.74, €3.49 Tier 1, €2.74 in Tier 2, and £2.99. So if you happen to be in Euro Tier 2, then that's a pretty damn good deal. Honestly, it's a pretty damn good deal regardless. This is a great game. It really is. The sequel's coming out in a couple of weeks, so it's a pretty good time to pick this one up. It's like a third-person tower defense game where you have to set up various networks of traps in order to kill all of the orcs, which happen to be heading in your direction. It's a really nice, fun game, very challenging game, got a decent amount of replay value and a good learning curve as well. I enjoyed the hell out of Orcs Must Die, honestly. There is a WTF of this game, so by all means go and check it out by clicking the link on the screen right now, and you may want to play it right now before the sequel comes out, which has online co-op. I would recommend it for this price without question. It's a hell of a lot of fun. And the daily deal, folks. This is the one that I think is the best value. Borderlands. Yes, indeed. Borderlands Game of the Year Edition. 75% off. This game will set you back $7.49. It will set you back €7.49 in Tier 1 and €4.99 in Tier 2, or £4.99. This is the Game of the Year edition, so it's got all of the DLC with it. 2 of the DLC are really good, in my opinion. 2 of the DLC, not so much, but since you get them all together, yeah, it's worth having. Why is it worth having? Because it's a really fun FPS RPG. It's got a hell of a lot of great gun combinations. It's got some great co-op in as well. Ton of content. I would say, without question, this is worth that price. No real doubt about it. However, there is a caveat. The caveat being that it was not a great PC port. However, a lot of the problems have been fixed. Once again, head on over to PCGamingWiki.com, search for Borderlands, and you'll find all the information you could need about fixing the game up and actually getting it running to a reasonable standard. There is a nice downloadable tool for this, an advanced launcher, which allows you to enable a whole bunch of different great stuff. So I would recommend checking out the PC Gaming Wiki for that. That's the only real caveat I've got for that game, honestly, because it is a hell of a lot of fun. It's got a great graphic style. Shooting shooting in that game is so much fun, even if it is just a little bit repetitive. Tons of different kinds of guns, great characters, and a hell of a lot of content considering that you get all of the DLC with it. Borderlands 2 is coming out a little bit later on in the year. This would be a good start for you and a great price, which is why it gets my award for Deal of the Day. Okay, folks, thank you very much for watching the Salebox. Sorry it's a little bit late. As I've said before, I'm still over on the West Coast. We drove to and from Los Angeles today, so we're being just a little bit busy. I will be flying back on Sunday, and I expect regular content to resume on Monday. Thanks for your patience, and I'll see you next time.